Call Jamie Kyle, 423-381-3429.
All right, we have a very special interview next here, 10 before the hour. On Saturday evening, the media was made aware of a situation that took place last week at Lake Forest Middle School, where a student brought a firearm to school. It was discovered. And I want to have Bradley County Sheriff Steve Lawson take it from there. So your office contacted the public and let everybody know. Just bring us up to speed from there, if you will.
Well, what happens, let me go back, let me start by complimenting my people, because they are criticized or something said about them, but they got right on this. They followed through. It was on a Saturday. It was on a Saturday when we learned of anything that happened at school. The patrol took the initial report, contacted investigator who came in, started notifying people and started interviewing and got the job done to figure out what actually had went on during the prior week at Lake Forest. They done a good job, and then they contacted me to let me know later on, which I in turn called Dr. Cash, talked to Principal Stevenson. We were all on the same page to make sure everybody knew, because that's the first we knew was Saturday. And I wanted to send out the clear message that we were all on the same page in what had been done. I didn't want anything lingering that there was a threat, because the threat was taken care of. We had done the job. It was completed. But believe me, that was the first we knew was Saturday when we got word of it, took the initial report, started interviewing people, and tracked it down. It could have been a bad situation, no doubt. And we got room to get better, no doubt. But we're pretty much on the same page here. And I think Dr. Cash will tell you we communicate pretty well. Generally on the weekends, my phone will ring or her phone will ring, and we know if something's happening inside the school or something we need to be made aware of. We're pretty good in community because Zech Pike's here, Director of Security for the schools, and he actually worked under me as an investigator. And then you got Paul Allen, who works for Homeland Security, who actually come out of the sheriff's office. So we're all on the same page. It's not greed. It's to make sure that we do the right thing and we serve this community. And we always see things that we can improve on, and we don't have to elaborate on a lot of those. But we look at the totality of the situation and see how we can improve. And I can guarantee you we've already had conversations moving forward what we want to do to improve. And that's where we're at.
Okay, Dr. Linda Cash is here, Director of Bradley County Schools. Just Dr. Cash, talk about this, if you will.
Well, I think that we're all aware that things have changed throughout time, most recently of us having to be more conscious of safety and security. And working with the Sheriff's Department, Zech, our principals, we do a good job. And when something like this happens, that collaboration with the Sheriff's Department is really what makes the difference, is because that they're advising us, we're punching back and forth. But what we don't want is to leave our families and parents out of the loop. So as soon as we knew, we did collaborate, putting out, this is what happened, and we want to tell the truth. We don't want to hide anything. But at this point, what we're asking is that we talk to our families about, especially talking to the kids. I don't think a kid has real ill intent, but society has changed. And so, what used to be okay is no longer okay. So it puts those students in a situation that we would prefer that they not be in. Not just the students that are in the school, but the ones that are bringing anything in. I want to compliment the Sheriff's Department, Mr. Stevenson's staff, Zech, for all of us sitting down and really talking this through and working out. What we want to say to our parents is talk to your students about, if you see something, tell an adult. You don't have to hold it to yourself. If you tell someone, then we can take action even faster. And again, with the sheriff, we know there's some things that we want to add to the safety and security, and I think Zach's going to talk a little bit more. But there was nothing except that we literally knew Saturday. We did not know anything before then, and that's when we took action, and the Sheriff's Department took action. So And I want to say safety and security is our top priority. And so when you look at that, we did a good job of following up when we could. We wish we had known sooner.
Richie Stevenson is the, I believe, 25th year as principal, is that right, of Lake Forest?
Thank you, Steve.
Something like that?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so
I have
let's-
been there a few years.
Yes, you have, and I know you love it, and they love you. Here's the question. According to the press release that was sent out Saturday night, this happened on Thursday, and
That's correct.
I know that the sheriff and Director Cash are talking about that time frame because you and the schools and the sheriff did not learn about it till Saturday. Talk about that for a second.
Well, no one had indicated anything to any of our staff about what, if they'd seen anything or anything. We didn't know anything till Saturday afternoon, and I want to commend the sheriff's detectives, Edwards and White. Those guys did a fantastic job. Like Sheriff said, we were all in communication with one another. They briefed me on Saturday afternoon. I called a meeting of my administrative team with the detectives on Saturday afternoon, brought my SROs in. Once we learned what had occurred, Steve, you got to remember, I'm one of those parents. I've got a son walking those halls. Dr. Sapp has a son walking those halls. Mr. Winters has boys in those halls. My SROs have children and grandchildren. I mean, we're invested in that building, okay? And as soon as we learned, within less than 3 hours, I was notifying the staff and I was notifying parents because I'm a parent. And I'd want to know about something like that. And we wanted to get that out to our parents as soon as we could.
And that's one thing, Richie, you and I spoke yesterday, that's one thing that was very important to you was to get the message out to your family. I know you sent a recording out by
That's
phone as soon as you could.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Zach Pike, again, Zach is of course, as Sheriff said, was with the Sheriff's Department, now with the Bradley County school system. Zach, I want to take this situation, but then I want to take it to a larger degree and to an overall situation because, look, we had a situation where we understand a student, according to the press release, was informed of this, saw it, waited a while to say anything. Is that right, Zach?
Yeah, and it goes, we have to be sure that we make the best possible environment for a child to feel comfortable to report these types of things, whether it's to that trusted adult, whether it's to other avenues that we have to report this type of behavior. It goes to that. They have to be comfortable because some of them don't feel comfortable it's their friend or they think, somebody's going to find out they're the one who told. But at the end of the day, what really matters is keeping the schools safe and identifying these types of behaviors as soon as we know them.
That's right. What is, so going forward, and as Dr. Cash referred, maybe some new ideas, some more ideas about security in our school systems?
So, we ask the parents to kind of talk with their child at home, but it's not only that. From the school standpoint, we can continue to do things. We're going to continue researching some devices that can curtail this type of incident. We have been looking at those for months already. It just didn't happen because of this. Dr. Cash tasked me with this probably 4 months ago, but it takes time to find the right product, the best fit for our staff, the best fit for our students and our buildings. And moving forward, we're going to try to find the best device we can to try to curtail this type of incident.
Zach, do you want to talk about the Stop It app and
Yeah.
some things that are out there?
So a couple other ways that people can report this type of behavior or anything that just seems suspicious or anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. So we have the Stop It app. We also have Safety In. And then if they can't do either one of those, then that's when we want to tell that adult. But they are anonymous. So if that child is worried about being the person who comes forward with this information, these apps are anonymous. So an administrator can actually even communicate with the student as they remain anonymous if they need to learn more information. So the staff member never necessarily knows who the child is, but we get the proper information reported, and then us working with the sheriff's office can act accordingly.
And how do people get those apps that you're talking about?
Both of those are web-based or app-based, and it's called Stop It. It's just STOPIT. That's the first one. The other one is through the state of Tennessee, and it's called Safe TN. And you can report. You don't have to have an account. You can go on there, report it. It asks you what school you belong to. Then you can make the report. It's as simple as that. You don't have to create an account. It's very, very simple for those people who need to make a report of an incident.
I want to go back around the panel one more time for some final thoughts. Bradley County Sheriff Steve Lawson.
I guess in addition to all that, and one of the things I'll look at is my SROs have to communicate with the students. You have to build trust along the way. That's part of an SRO these days. When it first started, I guess you just put a body in, but now you kind of got to train your people, communicate with them. How do we build those relationships with the students so they feel trusted? It's not that we want anybody to tell on Johnny for skipping class. I'm not into that.
Although we would like that too.
I'll let Dr. Cash handle that. What I want to do.
Principal right now, if that happened back then.
But if it rises to the occasion of something like this, we hope parents talk to their children and at least get the word to us so we can address it fast and we can all be on the same page. But I think it's good for the community. I think Dr. Cash and myself do put the children's priority first and their safety priority first. I've seen some comments. Let me tell you, there's sleepless nights go. There's things we worry about, and we try to get better as we go. I try to make sure that the SRO division gets better some way every year. So that's where we are, and I think we're all on the same page.
Dr. Cash?
I want to go back to just the fact, the relationship with the Sheriff's Department and the Bradley County Schools, and the good job that Zech is doing. They actually train with my principals. We have multiple professional developments, training on safety and looking at safety. So to say that, we never just stop and say, okay, we're good. It's a constant review of how do we get better, what do we do. I think we do need to do a better job of putting those apps and that information out there about reporting. I think we don't want to get so comfortable that we forget that those things still have to be out there. We have great families, we have great kids, but we also want to still be prepared and work. And so as we move toward the future and we're asking for help from our communities, we would just remind them that this is about the children.
And let me point out, we're talking about these apps and web-based products. This is really technology
Yes,
working potentially in a good way.
yes.
Really,
Yes.
that's a lot of possibility. Richie Stevenson, longtime principal, Lake Forest. Anything you want to add here before we go?
Thank you, Steve, for that,
What?
comment. Longtime principal.
Well, I mean, it's true, isn't it?
You know, Steve, I'll tell you, when you're dealing with a situation like that, it takes a little while to get the facts. One of the things that we're going to work on is, and we do it all the time now, is encouraging students to talk. But you know, Steve, we live in a world today that sometimes people don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And those are the times. And we're encouraging, and in the future, we're going to encourage more and more for students to talk and for students to get involved if they see anything or know anything, because we can't do anything about anything if we don't know it. But we worked really hard, I felt like, to act as swiftly as we could. The Sheriff's Department, I can't say enough about what a fantastic job they did. Okay, I mean, they really did. And once we got all the information together, like I said earlier, and we were briefed, then we try to get the word out to parents, because, like I said, we're all parents, and we're going to treat folks the way we want to be treated. Okay, that's the bottom line.
Zach Pike, you'll have the final word.
I'm going to commend Mr. Stevenson, something that I thought of while I was standing here. He and I talked on Saturday as soon as we both learned of this. And he didn't go into discussing it. His first words were, I've got to get to the school and get a message to my families. So before anything else was discussed, he was on his way. He wanted to be sure that they knew as soon as possible. But just to go back, those reporting apps, again, at Stop It, Safe TN, or Reporting to a Trusted Adult. And just know that we are going to continue researching and finding a device that can help us mitigate, curtail this type of behavior, to keep us all safe, staff and students.
All right. Thank you all for being here very, very much. And we are here.